and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to this video update here with me in the Alps. And I thought it was already my time for the holiday that I'm done recording my videos, but I was in it for surprise because there was something that was almost like a very important message Spirit wanted me to share. So first I want to begin by explaining and sharing my beautiful experience I had today. It was almost like a tiny miracle, and you know that miracles in the higher density are only referred to quote-unquote miracles because they become a state of being and living. I want to again continue on the note of higher dimensional and frequency kind of living, because this is where a lot of us are moving into, and these tiny examples that we're witnessing, they're showing us that this is it. And through my own example, I want to share with you so you can notice more deeply in your life when this is occurring for you. Okay, so today I was headed for this beautiful hike. Here you can see this is my most favorite place in the whole wide world. It is a place under the heart of these Alps here that our village overlooks and oversees. So as I came to this place, what was shared with me that this is a vortex, that there's this creation, one of the creation pillar points is here, and that I'm anchored here, and that is why for a lot of my time I was very stationary here with my work. I had to be here, my energy simply had to be here. And I've noticed that as I was moving through my cycles and my power in this physical body grew, the patterns and the things going on in nature shifted, and it was more and more revealed to me my mission of a creation pillar and what this means. And slowly moving through that, there's only a few of creation pillars that we kind of have to be around these vortices on the planet. Doesn't mean that we don't go sometimes from here and there, you know, exploring new things, but for a while my energy was very stationary here. And I have to share that through most recent example, this today brought me to tears, because what happened this year, if you see this video that's online about Earth changes this year, I think it's about April, May, our country, Slovenia, but was also one of the countries mentioned because we had the snow that fell in May, which was kind of like, it was very weird for this time of year, and it wasn't expected, and it wasn't a typical weather pattern. So what happened was that the snow burned all the leaves, and the spring leaves already started sprouting back then. And the early bloomers, they actually lost all their leaves. They became brown, so it's almost like the snow burned them. And for a while I was hiking here and I was thinking, oh my gosh, these poor leaves, what's going to happen? Are they just going to grow again? Although that's not the typical case. Nature is, what I'm shown, is so miraculous when we work with it in higher density. So when we kind of live and exist in our own vortex, of course, but in the vortices of these higher dimensional energies coming to the planet, we will witness already these higher frequency changes. So what occurred today was a continuation of my journey that I had last weekend. It was Saturday. I went for this hike that I was guided to go for a while now. It's similar place to here, just one mountain apart. So what took place was, as I was walking, all the leaves were still brown, and it felt so weird, like in a forest kind of desert. And I said, oh, this is not the same as every year. And I just felt such love for the forest, for the nature. And I kept wondering, you know, what's really taking place, because I felt this sacred alchemy unfolding. Then I was there. I call it one of my creation pillars, one of my rocks. I have a few of these rocks where I kind of like just sit there and hold the energy space. But the weather wasn't as I expected, and nothing was actually as I thought that day. And I had my notes, I wanted to do my stuff, but nothing went that way. And a lot of times for those of us who are spirit guided, we're going to have these journeys when something else will happen to what we expected to happen. And I went down, the energy was weird, it was so shifting, and I kind of like also sprained my ankle as I went down, the right ankle, and they later told me it was something that needed to ground on the planet, so my energy body needed to be adjusted to my physical body, so the sprain happened so that there was a readjustment. I know it's weird and it's spacey, but it's how it was. So I was all the day wondering what was the whole point of that day. It didn't make sense. I couldn't get it right. It isn't only a week after now, almost a week after, right, that I went here again, and the miracle happened. So that Sunday after that Saturday, we had huge rain and lightnings and so much precipitation falling through. And as I already before I noticed these changes taking place in nature, I had this thought, wow, nature showed me why we needed to have so much precipitation, which is not really typical for June here. The weather patterns were very non-typical because of these shifts. But I'm continuously shown that the higher density portals, where this higher frequency of the higher dimensions is already pouring through, the readjustment takes place much faster. So I was shown this before I saw the miracle, my miracle, well, nature's miracle, and I thought, wow, must have been so. And I had this answer coming why there was this precipitation, why it endured for so long, because nature needed to rebalance that. The essence of where we're moving now is that the nature is constantly balancing itself out. So if a man causes changes and they're man-made, nature will quickly readjust that. And a lot of these fears, when we said, oh, what we're doing to nature, this and that, when we're coming from a higher dimensional space, this is no longer the case in the same way, because things can be restored very fast. There's also certain technologies that we're going to be revealed that have the capacity to even cleanse our oceans very fast, and a lot of the pollution we've caused. But for those of us who are more working in terms of energy work, we're witnessing these changes on other levels, which is just energy work. So what took place, I keep walking further and I look up, and all of a sudden I'm noticing this is no longer the same desert that I walked through just last weekend. And I look, tiny baby leaves, all green, and I approach them and there is this brown old leaf, at the simultaneously a new leaf growing underneath. And I knew, and I started crying. And then Spirit whispered into my ear, they said, look, your love, you needed to be there. You needed to be there. And that's what we do as creation pillars. We just, a lot of the work people do with humans, we do with nature and these vortices. And this is kind of like a mission that you only understand why you have such a love for a specific place, for a specific location. You're not sometimes as a human consciously aware of it. But I was once again shown this confirmation and how it is in these higher density places and the miracles that can occur. And I started crying. I just poured my heart out and I said, I'm so happy for these leaves. Oh my God, my leaves are back. I almost started dancing there, right? I was just so out of myself. And I was so happy. The whole time I just felt gratitude, and I kept saying, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy for nature, and nature feels it. I have one more thing to share, because last year I went to the seaside for a few days only. And once I returned to my creation pillar point here in the Alps, in my village, what took place was that all of a sudden I never had that. But before, I didn't go for a while since I moved here. And then as I came back, all the nature and the butterflies and things and fairies, I felt all of them were saying, welcome back. Hey, hi, hi. It was so many hellos, and I never had that experience. I'm not so visual in those senses, or cognizant in those terms. And I was just, wait a minute, wow, I felt this welcoming. And today I had this in my dreams again, being shown this, and the miracle occurs at the same day. I'm just so happy because this just occurred. And just yesterday, before having this hike, I looked outside my window and I said, wait a minute, there's the brown color is disappearing. There's more green, or just my imagination? And then I had my answer today. And there was just such a pouring of love coming when I felt and witnessed that. So the thing that Spirit showed me is that how we're actually moving into these higher templates, as much as this is in our bodies, the same case is with nature. So when you're moving into this higher ascending energies, you're going to start seeing certain changes more in one area and the other area. So we're slowly, through our chakric energies, our own vortices in our bodies, more and more of this higher light comes through, right? So the same thing occurs with our planet Earth. As she moves through these new birth canal, in a way, of the ascending reality of the higher density, first the light always goes through these creation points. It goes through the sacred portals. Then these portals spread out. And I've shared this in my video about the different purposes of creation pillars, of the guardians, of the gatekeepers, and the light workers. And please watch that. It was last year. I think it was in the fall, something like that. And it was an Ascension update about this when I explained the purposes. So when we have this understanding how everything works, we're going to see that the outpouring of these higher frequencies comes first through these portals. And then we as humans, we spread it out. So our love does matter. For a lot of the terms we say, oh, Earth is doing it on its own. But what I was shown today when they said it was your love, it was your love. And a lot of us humans doubt when you say, no, it isn't about me. I'm not that powerful. Yes, we are. A lot of us. We're all having the power at different levels, of course, to our soul, advancement. And so it's not about that even. It's just that we have power, period. The power of love. And today I was shown that the element of the human is so important, because I called my mom. I was so happy. I needed to tell her. And I said, Mom, can you imagine that people were all like this? We would live on heaven on earth. And she said, we live in a paradise. And this is the whole thing about moving into this higher dimension. It's not just about Gaia. She's making the shift. But we are assisting the shift by kind of through our love. The love is the human, because the creation is evolved so we can have the experience as the human. And it is a part of us. It's an intrinsic part. The purpose I have with nature is exactly share these messages of what does it mean. The aspect of the Holy Spirit, the breath of life, the Mother Creatrix, and why it's so important that our love is aligned with that. Because we have such an immense power. Through that power, we make those changes happen. We make baby leaves blossom again. It's not even in the nature, you know? But it's almost like there's this story, I think, of an Indian boy who grew his leg back after being, I don't know, torn apart or something. These things can happen, but only through the focused intent, through the love, through the understanding how the higher density frequencies are first going to go and expand from these places, and then from there onward. That's why certain people on the planet are already experiencing the fifth density. They're experiencing bliss, joy. Certain people are still experiencing war, duality, intense separation, hate, judgment, fear, a lot of that, anxiety, guilt. And the thing is that around these places, around these vortices, all these souls who have moved their energy bodies through the alignment of their physical, they're going to be more drawn to these spaces. That's why people like me and a lot of you are guided to be next to these places with the higher outpouring of light quotient, because you can do even greater work of service there. You're more aligned with your higher light templating. So people like that are going to be slowly moving from the cities. Life will revolve more higher dimensionally. I talk about these higher places. It's almost like I watched a video yesterday about the landing, the first exposition of the ETs, and the Arcturian said, well, we're not going to be shown to everyone because not everyone is ready to receive that. So when there's a landing, a lot of people might just have that as their astral experience on the dream time, so they're being prepared. Not everyone would have that as a physical experience, because we're not going to land in the 3D, because the 3D is still based on fear, and they wouldn't accept and acknowledge that because there's still so much of the brainwashing, so that kind of thing. And that is why on the planet right now people are experiencing so different things, you know, from heaven on earth already to immense duality. And this is a slow processing. People think that ascension is boom, you know, this shift, you wake up overnight. So as much as these changes are happening on the planet, for the planet, the same goes for us. The more we align with that, the more we align with these high frequencies, the more we will see that we're drawn to these higher spaces, and that we want to co-create with them. And we are co-creating these miracles. They are also a reflection of the outpouring of our love. And the more people like that, the more we're going to create this paradise on earth. So that's why I'm calling this video like that. It was a message before my... so many ants here once again. I'm sorry, I'm just being a nature buddy, a happy camper in nature. But the thing is that yeah, it was an important message, because a lot of people think, and it's coming from the outside. No, we got to align with the shift. We got to have an understanding. We got to have an understanding of these creation principles, and a lot of my work is revolved around that, to show people once again how these principles of creation were hidden. They were not understood, but the purity of them is returning, and it's returning through people like us who have this knowledge, who have the knowledge of the elven ways of living, of the sacred purity and the template that is pure and untainted. And yeah, it's returning this diamond light frequency first through these vortices, then we're spreading it out. And that is why there's this the differences of the intervals of our experiences that we're feeling from here to there. Different sensory experiences, and we can choose where we will be, and our soul will guide us where we need to be. So I think this really is the last one before my holiday. I hope so. You never know with spirit. And I hope you enjoyed the view here for a little while, and I'm going to show you some more of it towards the end, because it's really beautiful here and very, very magical. And I wish you having a beautiful time as well. Thank you for all your support, your energy support, and the love, the feedback, the donations you're sending your way. And thank you so much. I love you all so very much. And obviously the ants love me very much too. I can't help it. It's part of nature. And that's it for today. Tuning in, tuning out with love in my heart. So here is my beautiful miracle. As you can see, the old damaged, which is falling away, and the new leaves that started to grow, and once again everything is green. This used to be all brown. I'm just so happy, you know. So this is ready, see, just ready to fall off. These beautiful baby leaves. This is usually the color we have in May, this baby green, and now they're back. So I'm going to show you this beautiful forest and allow you to bask in it. See, leftovers of the brown. It's all beautiful now. Ready for a beautiful summer of love.